Welcome to What the F, where F is embedded finance. It's a series where we discuss embedded finance with a range of fintech industry experts and operators who are out there in the trenches like you and me, integrating various financial services within their products and services. I am Vaibhav Garg from Switch.io. At Switch.io, we help companies of all shapes and sizes to embed banking and other financial products within their platforms. Really happy to introduce you all that for this particular interaction we have with us Ankur Jhaveri. Ankur has had an interesting journey both as a product manager as well as a startup founder. In his previous role, he was the head of neobanking at FinkPay, and now he will be moving on to start his own company, which is around personal finance. There's more to what he does, and some of which we will be discussing as part of our conversation today. So, once again, Ankur, welcome to What the F.
Thanks, Vaibhav. Thank you.
Great. So, I'll jump straight away to what you're working on in the process of starting up. What's the startup called? What are you working on? What is the key problem that you're trying to solve?
So we've realized this since a long time that in spite of there being so many platforms right now for users to manage their money, to invest, to buy insurance, to save tax, there's still a significant amount of users who are still not able to manage their money well, and primarily that's due to lack of financial education. So we're building Jackfruit, which is a platform that educates users in the personal finance space and then helps them to make better investment decisions. And it's not just about investments, but there's also taxation, there's also insurance, there's also loans that we cover. So the platform will overall enable users to manage their money better.
Got it. Makes sense. And it's interesting, how the wealth tech space in India has evolved over the last 5, 6 years. And, a lot of it has been possible because of the India Stack, the public utility infra that has been created, and starting with the identity layer, obviously that made it easier to onboard customers to do their KYC for Aadhaar e-sign. Obviously the payments layer, which has helped make payments a seamless thing, be it UPI based investing or e-mandates. And obviously now we are moving on to the data layer, which is account aggregators, that are coming up and will make it easier to bring the banking data for FIUs who want to consume it and provide services on top of it. So, how does open banking fit in your scheme of things?
So for us, obviously, a major part of managing your finance is about knowing your own incoming payments and outgoing payments, right? So for us, open banking plays a very important role because it will enable our users to understand where they are spending their money, where they can save it, and where what is the most optimized way to manage their money. So with the entire account aggregator ecosystem opening up in the coming few months, our users will be able to see where is it that they are spending their money, what are the best ways in which they can utilize that money, and how is the best way for them to grow it. So yeah, for us, it's a very important part of the entire platform.
Got it. Makes sense. But just playing devil's advocate here, you can still assess a customer's bank statement by using a bank statement parser, right? So what really changes with open banking?
So I think the major difference here is the convenience. You don't have to upload a PDF file. You don't have to really, check with your bank, log into your internet banking. There are no security concerns here. With the account aggregator ecosystem, it's just a matter of one OTP which you give. Secondly, there is no kind of manipulation that is possible with the AI ecosystem. The data is in raw XML format, which is given to you by the account aggregator. So there is no forging of any statements that could happen or anything else of that sort. So being an entire open ecosystem, which is highly secure, it helps the user to analyze their finances better, and it helps companies like us to be sure that the data that we're getting is correct.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. And just to touch upon who's your target audience, what's the sweet spot there, and how large is the personal finance market for that segment in India?
So if you look at the market, uh, we're just crunching some numbers, and if you look at 2019-20, there are about 57 million people who have filed their tax returns, out of which, so that makes it 5.7 crores, of which only about 70 odd lakhs have an income of less than 2.5 lakhs a year. The other folks, I mean, 5 crore people still have an income of about 2.5 lakhs. So in spite of that, there are only 3 crore mutual fund investors today. So there is a big gap here, and the number one reason we see for this gap is lack of education. So our sweet spot, to answer your question, is those people who have the money, who are earning say 5 to 6 lakhs a year, which is probably 40-50 thousand a month, have the capacity to invest say 5,000 rupees a month, have the capacity to buy a term insurance policy, but they don't know where to begin. So with our platform, they'll understand how their money needs to be managed, what is the best kind of policy that you should buy, what is the best sort of investment that you need to make. So yeah, essentially, it's those people who want to start their personal finance journey but don't know where to begin.
Got it. And if we just touch upon the landscape for this space in India, there are players like Zerodha and Upstocks, which are more DIY. There are financial super apps, and there are a bunch of them, for roughly a similar target segment. There are consumer neobanks, that have started with the savings or spends as a hook, and obviously, I'm sure that everybody would want to touch upon the PFM part of it. So, uh, is my assessment correct? That all of these players will be operating in a similar segment, and how are you different from them? Of the players that are there in the space.
Right. So one major differentiator is that our focus is not just on investments. We cover the four aspects of personal finance, which includes your investment, includes insurance, it also includes taxation. So we also tell the user the best ways to save tax, and of course, it also includes things like loans. So we're covering all the four aspects of personal finance. While there are a lot of investment apps today, which enable users to make investments. There are insurance apps which enable them to purchase insurance. They're all in silos. So one major thing that we are doing is we are covering all aspects of personal finance. The other part that we're doing is we're giving assisted services. So it's not just a DIY like you mentioned. The apps like Grow, Upstock, Zerodha, they're pretty good, and they're meant for investors who know where they want to put their money. They just need a transactional platform. Our platform is, on the other hand, meant for those folks who don't know where and how to start. They need some sort of assistance. So there would be an introductory, personal sort of interaction between somebody from Jackfruit and the client, which will enable a little hand holding for the client and enable them to make much better informed decisions.
Got it. Got it. And so you intend to integrate a lot of disparate financial products. You talked about insurance, taxes, loans. So are they available as APIs right now, or you need to go about integrating each of these services with all the different financial institutions out there? Given that you are more horizontal, and you'll not be restricted to one financial service provider. So how do you go about doing that?
So for us, the major part is about education. Of course, transactions are there. Transactions form the major part of the platform, and that is what is going to give us revenue. But the focus for us is on educating the user. Now, at the back end, whether we integrate with single providers or we integrate with an aggregator is frankly dependent on how easy it is to integrate. So while there are a lot of individual players we can integrate with, I think there have been a lot of the aggregators also in this space, which enable you to provide multiple products with just one single integration. So yeah, that frankly depends on how much time it takes, what are the costs of doing independent integrations. But yeah, we're open to exploring both.
Got it, got it. And I just want to touch a bit upon the distribution aspect. How are you thinking about acquiring your customers?
So we are majorly going the B2B route, where since our target customer is mainly the white collared employee, we would be going via corporates, where we would be having say an introductory webinar on personal finance, where we explain the nitty-gritties of personal finance to all the employees. We're also looking at tying up with some HRMS providers so that there is no third or a new application that the user needs to log into. It all happens seamlessly via one app itself. Uh, but yeah, our acquisition is primarily going to be via corporates, where each white collared worker is going to get a good handholding for their personal finance management.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. And it's very interesting what you said, which is in a way embedded investments per se. And I also personally believe that HRMS or payroll, could be an interesting convergence point for delivery of a lot of financial services to salaried folks. That could be the tech-led distribution to, B2B outreach activities, for example, that you had mentioned. So it'll be interesting how that plays out. And I just want to come back to the point on transactions that you were trying to talk about. In today's world, everybody's trying to sell you something, and even when you're talking to an independent advisor, you're not sure about where their interests lie at the back end, right? Robo advisors, although there've been a lot of promise, at least for now, they haven't been as successful yet globally. And I guess you also accord the highest level of trust to the bank, where you keep most of your money. So neobanks theoretically, consumer neobanks are theoretically closer to the customer in that sense. So how do you intend to nudge the customer into acting upon your advice? I know that right now it is more about education and the focus is there, but what do you intend to do different to nudge this customer into taking your advice?
So, couple of things here. Like you mentioned, robo advisory has not really kicked off very well because of a lack of probably trust. Leaving the algorithm aside, there is a major lack of trust that people have on platforms, which is why we are going the assisted route, wherein the customer is going to trust me if I give him the right advice and if he sees the advice working for him, right? So, with a combination of the assisted sort of model and the whole account aggregator ecosystem, we can tell the customer that based on your finances, this is what people like you are doing, and this is what you can explore doing. So since there is a lot of data that is available with us to analyze the customer's finances, and we have a human touch, the customer also will have more faith in the in the sort of recommendations or the sort of guidelines given by our platform. So of course it's not a pure play advisory platform as such, but it will be telling the user general rules of thumb that people follow. So if you want to buy a term insurance policy, what is the typical mindset of a user, or what are the best practices in the industry? So based on this kind of hand holding, there'll be a lot more trust that the user will have on the platform.
Got it. Makes so much sense. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. And now we have come to the final segment where we have something interesting that you have to answer. So you'll have 30 seconds. I'll put the timer on. What, according to you, is embedded finance?
Okay, 30 seconds is too less, but yeah, technically it is embedding financial products in either a financial or a non-financial app. But I think it's going to be the future of banking, the future of finance, irrespective of whether you're an Uber or a Paytm. You will eventually need banking or finance into your application. So yeah, that's what embedded finance is according to me.
Great. So you ended up before 30 seconds. That's great. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Make sure to check out what Ankur is up to with his new venture. We'll share the links in the description, but I'll let Ankur, talk about that. And Ankur, where should people head over to if they want to check out what you're working on?
We're just building our landing page. I will share that link with you, which you can put in the description probably. And we also have a newsletter which we run, where we try to explain complex financial jargon in 5-minute articles. So that is something that the users can have a look at. It will just be a teaser of what we are planning to do. So yeah, the users can check any of that if they wish to.
Great, great. Thanks so much, Ankur, for being on the show. All the best with your venture, and we hope to see you help a lot of folks with their personal finance journeys.
Thanks, Vaibhav. Thanks for having me. Thank you so
Great,
much.
great. So, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to be notified whenever there's a new episode. We'll be speaking with an industry expert and an operator, every week. Till then, take care. Bye.